and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Now, being a woman during times of PMS or menopause can be really hard, and being a man dealing with a woman in these times can be really tough too. But help is at hand, because today we have doctor, psychologist, nutritionist and natural health expert Marilyn Glenville. Now, she'll be joining us to raise awareness on natural approaches to female hormone problems and to give expert tips on ways to improve your lifestyle when suffering with PMS or menopause. She'll also be providing a psychological insight into the effects of both and how to cope better as a woman or even a partner. I'll also be showing you our latest creative success story, the power of music and lyrics. We also have fashion expert Cynthia Liza Gregoire, who'll be speaking about fashion industry news and autumn transitional pieces. You're right there, girls. And we also have makeup expert Theresa Maegan Gregoire, and she'll be telling us about the important steps you must not forget in your beauty regime, which is key to having beautiful skin and makeup. It's always fun having them in the studio, I have to say. And we also have our fitness tip from Jane for busy people. I'll be answering a question from a viewer, but first, as always, we have our news, this time with the lovely Excel.
Hello, Chrissy.
Hello, sweetheart.
Hello, everyone.
What's your PMS like?
I have to say,
Not a very personal question, but just, are you okay normally? Like?
Yeah, I am. I think I just get pretty tired. I think that's my
me
thing.
too.
I get
I used to get very emotional and would cry at the slightest thing, especially if I felt a bit overwhelmed with work and stuff. But I managed to kind of get over that. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Now I just get very tired.
I do too.
Bloated. If we can get advice for not being bloated, that would be amazing from our lovely doctor later on.
Absolutely. I'll be listening very, very attentively.
So what do you have in the news for us?
Well, I thought I'd start off with some breaking news, Chrissy.
Okay.
Would you believe it? Red Bull doesn't give you wings.
Oh, really?
It's a serious revelation here. Red Bull has been paying out, they've actually set aside a total of $13 million, which is equivalent to about £8 million, setting it aside as a result of class action lawsuits that were taken against them because of false advertising. So anyone applying for compensation for their lack of wings will be given a £15 cash, the equivalent of £15 cash payment in Red Bull products.
Oh.
Really? It doesn't give me wings, so why do I need compensation in Red Bull products? Will the compensation give me wings? No, anyway. But before our viewers rush out to go and get compensation for it, it's only open to the US viewers, the US customers, so we can't have it in
I don't actually understand that. It doesn't make sense. I can
Yeah.
understand if they're giving cash out.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently that was like the big sort of thing. And I think there's always something people want to sue for. So the fact that it says in the advert that it gives you wings and it doesn't, literally, that's why. Yeah, it's a bit...
People sue for anything nowadays, don't they?
Well, yeah.
I can understand if they say that there's too much caffeine in here and it's really bad for you, maybe, but not that you don't actually get physical wings.
Yes, exactly.
It's a bit obvious, really. So.
Well, yeah. Well, keeping it in the subject of sort of like lawsuits, if you like, but this is not a lawsuit this time. But a shocked shopper tucked into a curry that he bought and found a 3-inch centipede.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yuck.
He put the chicken tikka masala into the oven, into the microwave oven for 9 minutes before he sat down to eat. However, just as he was about to start eating, something started crawling. It was black. It started crawling from the center of the rice.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually filmed it and sent it to the shop, which shall remain nameless. And he sent it to the shop and he just said, look, this is it. I mean, I think he actually filmed it before anyone would say, you know, you put it there or whatever. So he filmed it from as it was happening. And by the time it crawled out, I think it crawled out to the part of the food that was actually hot and it died.
God.
But yeah, but he's been given, get this, a £15 gift card for the same shop. So I think they just kind of want to, keep the wealth in the shop, in the business, really, isn't it?
Well, that's more like it. At least you can use it on anything. You don't have to buy the same.
Well, I suppose you don't have to buy
curry.
the same, chicken
Exactly.
masala or something. Yeah.
No,
But
because I went to a restaurant once and I found it was like a little slug in my salad. So I showed the manager and they just sent me a whole, like, I think £30 voucher, which I enjoyed because it was a nice restaurant.
Yeah, but still, that would kind of
However,
put me off.
when I was in Israel on holiday once, I found it was horrible. It was on my fork. I was actually lifting up to my mouth and it was this big black spider on my fork. that was kind of looked like a vegetable, but it wasn't. I showed it to the waiter. He goes, okay, just take it out. And that's it.
Oh, no, he didn't.
And I thought maybe they don't kind of complain about things over here in Israel where I am. So I thought I'm not going to make a fuss, because if it was the UK, I would have made a fuss.
Oh, hilarious.
I thought I'm not going to do anything just in case, you know.
Well, I have to say, I'm sorry. If anybody's sitting down to eat, we do apologize. However, I've got one more piece of
You shouldn't
such
be eating
shocking...
this late.
Well, this is it. This is it. This is another sort of slightly sensitive along these same lines. So if you're squeamish, look away, because I have photos for this one. Well, a certain young man went to a well-known restaurant, a well-known fast food restaurant, and he actually bought a drink. And as a result of, you know, him consuming this drink, he decided to take the lid off and just kind of like...
Peer inside. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just take the lid off and just, you know, sort of shoot the rest down, you know, just drink it down quickly. And he found something. If we cue photo 1 and see if we would know what this is.
What's that? I can't see from here.
Oh, cue photo 2 then. I thought so.
Is that a mouse?
Yep.
That's disgusting.
It was a mouse at the bottom of a coffee cup. Basically, he finished his coffee and he found a mouse at the bottom of the cup, and he'd already drunk it.
Oh, God.
And he said...
It must have been heavier.
Well, it's a tiny little thing. Maybe he didn't really think about it. Maybe he must have thought, you know, ooh, a bit of a lot of caffeine in this one. But...
Oh, no.
But he actually drank it down to that part, and he took the lid off, and as you do, just kind of, oh, let me just take it off and just slug down the rest. And yeah, that's when he found it. He did say he, how did he put it? He said how did he describe it? He said he felt a little bit, like, he didn't talk about being queasy or anything. He just said he had a little bit of queasiness, as he put it. But
so
he said,
is he getting compensation?
well, what has he been given?
Never gets free coffee.
Well, they're continuing to investigate this isolated incident because there aren't any evidence of pests at this branch. Indeed. So I just hope that he gets adequately compensated and not with vouchers for said place. Thank you. But yes, I thought I'd, yes.
Yes, indeed.
Well, moving on now to some more peculiar news. I have to get it out of the way. I just had to get it out, all the ridiculous news out today. A man has been arrested for aggressively mopping the floor.
No.
Oh yes, you heard it here first.
No, sorry.
He has been, I promise you, his name is John Thornton, 30, and he is accused of taking a mop from a worker and then using it at the DoubleTree Hotel in Bristol, Connecticut, only in America, of course. The lieutenant that was investigating the case said, Thornton began to mop the floor, but became more aggressive and mopped over the employee's shoes several times. It was then alleged that when the worker asked him to stop what he was doing, he pushed her into the corner. He was arrested and charged with breach of the peace, but he was arrested for aggressively mopping the floor.
That's so funny.
Who knew that was an offense? Wow. Rap sheet, aggressively mop the floor.
Mop my floors if he wants.
I mean, it doesn't actually, yeah, exactly, but it doesn't actually say why he took it. Maybe the worker was really doing a sloppy job.
Yeah, exactly.
And he thought, you know what, I can do this better myself. And he just took it. So, of course, now he's been accused of aggressively mopping the floor. Yeah, this is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Well, yes, the other thing I wanted to point out really quickly, I have to say, this is classic when I saw it.
We've got a minute left, so can you fit that in?
We have a minute. Oh, no, I don't want to rush it.
I'll save for later on then. Do you have a quick one? Or I can just keep talking for 1 minute.
Okay, I'll do a quick one. I'll make it quick. Okay. I will do. Well, okay, this was something that was a bit naughty. Furious parents have labeled a head teacher a hypocrite because she made plans to fly off to the Caribbean during term time, whereas parents would be fined for doing the same thing. But she got to fly out in January, shortly after the end of the Christmas holidays, and she was given the go-ahead by the school governors. But of course, the parents who found out said, well, this is double standards.
Exactly.
You know, you penalize us if we even take a child away from school for 1 day. But she said, well, apparently the school governor said she had personal reasons and flew out during school time, but parents not allowed to do that. That's very naughty, I'm sorry. Minute done.
Thank you very much, Excel. That was perfect. Okay, well, you are going to stay with us, aren't you? 'Cause
Absolutely.
towards the end of the show, we're going to have you back on with more news. But do stay tuned, because after the break, we'll take a look at our fitness tip from Jane Wrafter for you busy perfectionists out there. And I'll be speaking with Dr. Marilyn Glenville on the natural approach to female hormone problems.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back. Now, before we go to Dr. Marilyn Glenville, let's first go to Jane for our fitness tip aimed at you busy perfectionists out there.
Hi guys, it's Jane here with your fitness tips. This one is for you busy people out there, and the busy people who tend to be a little bit perfectionist, and perfectionist people very often, I find in my experience and people I've worked with, can have an all or nothing approach to fitness, and sometimes you need to shift away from this in order to succeed. So if you're really busy and you're juggling loads of things and you've got a manic week, whatever it is, you know, childcare, work, all that stuff, if you can't make it for a whole hour of workout, you need to switch from saying, well, I'm not doing anything, to say to yourself, I'm going to do one of my maintenance 10-minute workouts. So have in your back pocket a little series of 10-minute workouts that you can do. So you might just do those in the morning before you go to work, in the evening. It's not going to hugely improve your fitness, but it's going to maintain it and keep it ticking over. So have a look at your week. Look, decide whether you're going to have a maintenance week or an improvement week. And don't have a nothing week, all right? Don't have the all or nothing, because it's negative and it'll stop you reaching your goals. Okay, see you soon, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Jane, and you'll be happy to know that I did my 25 minutes today, so I'm free. Okay, so now we're joined in the studio with Dr. Marilyn Glenville. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Are you well?
Yes, I am, and hope to be even better after your advice that we're going to get today. So this is particularly something I've been looking forward to interviewing you about, because I love sort of the natural way to go.
Yeah.
And obviously PMS, menopause is quite a nightmare for some women.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell us how you got into this in the first place, trying to find natural remedies?
Well, I actually got into the whole field through premenstrual syndrome. That was my first interest in women's health, and because women are on this roller coaster every month, and often they might be given antidepressants, and yet it's only something that happens maybe 7 or 10 days before the period. So there seemed to be another way of being able to balance the hormones so that women weren't on this roller coaster. And then we have another roller coaster as we go up, and we now call it the perimenopause, this time leading up to the menopause, which is another transition of hormones, and then through the menopause and out the other side. So we are governed by our menopause hormones a lot, and men don't have that. They, you know, it's pretty stable.
But they do have to deal with it, don't they?
They do. They do. They have to deal with women with the premenstrual, and then women in the hot flushes and the night sweats and the duvet coming off and back on again. So, you know, it's different stages in a woman's life and how her partner, you know, has to support her through those stages.
Okay, so what's your approach then? How can we help women the natural way? What can we do?
Well, it's all about trying to treat the cause. With me, with whatever it is, whether it's irregular cycles with women or premenstrual or menopause, it's actually saying what's the cause of the problem, because if you can treat the cause, we've got a long-term solution, rather than a woman just going on the pill or something else to just alleviate the symptoms. It needs to be something long-term. And really, it's looking at how we eat, how we look after ourselves. I know you talk about exercise, and that's important as well. And it's how we feed ourselves makes a difference as to how our hormones are regulated right from the beginning of the month, because what we do from the beginning of the month changes then what the second half is going to be like as well. Yeah, so sometimes women say, well, I'll just eat well or something the 7 days when I've got the premenstrual symptoms, but it actually starts right from the beginning of the cycle all the way through. It's two halves of a cycle.
Okay, now Marion, I know you've written a book about it. What's it called there?
It's a natural health Bible for women, and I've covered every woman's problems in there. And it's something I'm very passionate in, because I think women do suffer a lot with a lot of anxiety, tension, like you mentioned, bloating, it could be mood swings, and either that's going on premenstrually or they're getting the same symptoms leading up to the menopause. So it's like we get them again and they get even more magnified. So we are governed a lot by our hormones.
So can without giving too much away of what's in the book, can you give us a few sort of your top tips to help us and to help our men out there? Yeah,
and the men.
Sorry, guys, I know we put you through a hard time sometimes.
I would say the biggest tip is to actually balance our blood sugar.
Okay.
Because when our blood sugar's on a roller coaster, it affects our female hormones premenstrually. And I have to say now that premenstrual syndrome is the easiest one I treat, and just by getting that blood sugar under control. It means not missing meals and not living on the quick fixes like the chocolate bar or a cup of tea and a biscuit. It's actually eating well and eating every 3 hours, and it changes everything, energy, moods, and the way the female hormones work as well.
Any particular foods we should be eating that you can recommend?
Yes, I know we talk about starchy carbs. Everybody thinks they're bad, and you don't want too much of the white flour, the white bread. We do need some of these whole grains like the brown rice, but it's actually when we add protein to a starchy carbohydrate, it actually makes it more longer lasting. So somebody could, if they had a bowl of porridge in the morning and you put ground nuts or seeds on, it makes it even a better breakfast. And same as if you're having a jacket potato, you want tuna, or if you're vegetarian, you have hummus with it. You just don't want a jacket potato and a salad. It doesn't give long enough energy for long enough.
Okay. So Marilyn, what about the bloating? Because that often happens to me. Even though I eat quite healthily, I eat nuts and seeds and oats and all those kind of things, but I still feel like a barrel.
I know, and either it's the food that's doing it, and when we get premenstrual also our energy goes down, and when our energy goes down we don't digest the food properly, and then it could sit in there and we get this fermentation, so we get bloating and gas with it. So it could be the food, and we have to make sure we do chew much better. I know our mother always told us that, but it does make a difference. Chew their food and don't eat on the run. Which is often what we might do. We might grab a sandwich at lunchtime when we're racing off to do something else, or we're even working at the same time as eating on the phone or driving the car. We do need to be a bit kinder to ourselves at that time of the month, because our energy levels do dip. So it is about taking the time to eat. And also the bloating could be water retention. So for some women, their fingers swell up, so their rings don't fit. The bloating around here is water retention, and they can put on a few pounds. They get it around their ankles, and their breasts feel tender. So it can be a lot of fluid retention, and actually then we almost want to drink more, because if you drink more, if you restrict the fluid, the body tries to hold it on. So we actually want to make sure we're drinking enough fluid, less of the caffeine which dehydrates us, and put in more herb teas and that sort of thing.
That's a really good tip, because you don't feel like drinking more water when you already feel bloated, but the fact that it helps, that's a great tip. And let's talk a bit about menopause. Is it the same sort of thing, the way you would deal with it?
Yes, you would. We do a lot more with the foods around the menopause, because one of the things the scientists have said is why do women in certain cultures have less hot flushes and night sweats, and yet we've all got the same set of hormones? So what do they do differently? And they've looked at groups of food called phytoestrogens, which we get from beans like chickpeas, lentils, soya, and also flax seeds. And they have actually a balancing effect on hormones. Everybody thinks they supply estrogen, and they don't. They actually help balance our hormones. And we're going through a transition. We're going from one stage of our life into this other stage, and by putting these phytoestrogens in the diet, it actually helps this transition go much smoother, and we could even avoid the hot flushes and the night sweats.
But we're always going to have some kind of symptoms, aren't we?
No, not every woman does. Really? No, I remember a woman coming to the clinic and she said, well, my period stopped 6 months ago, when are the symptoms going to start? So we assume in the West that we're going to get the symptoms.
Oh, that's interesting.
And yet others, I see, they're actually getting up in the middle of the night, they're drenched in sweat, they have to change their clothes and have a shower.
So maybe even expecting to have symptoms kind of might bring it on.
And interestingly, in traditional cultures, it's a different attitude. The women become wise women. They have a different status at the menopause, whereas often in our culture, women often say they feel invisible, they've lost their role, got empty nest syndrome. So you're right, there could be more negativity around it. So our attitude changes a bit, whereas in other cultures, women have a different status in that culture.
Oh gosh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So just before we go, Marilyn, how about, do you have any words of wisdom for the men out there, that what they can do to help or to ease the tension?
Yeah, and I think it is understanding that we are on this roller coaster, and sometimes premenstrually the whole world will seem negative. Everything's wrong, everything's black, and we will argue at the slightest thing. And I think the man just needs to be supportive. I know men sometimes feel whatever they do is wrong at that point, but it's just to understand that it will only last for that short period of time, and then we're back on an even keel as well. But to understand that we don't have stable hormones like they do. We're on this roller coaster every month.
Oh, well. And they love us anyway, don't they?
They do, and they like, because we do have different moods and different ways of thinking.
We make up for it anyway in the other things, don't we?
I know there's often women who are artists who like that part of the month because it's their most creative time. So there are positive bits of it as well as negative.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah.
Well, Mary, it's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you so much for that lovely advice, and all the best with your book as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so after the break, we'll have our fashion slot with Cynthia, and she'll be speaking about fashion industry news and autumn transitional pieces. And we'll also have Megan's makeup today on your beauty regime and important must-know steps.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back. So now it's time for the Gregoire sisters, and we're starting with Cynthia today. Hello, Cynthia.
Good evening, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good. Good. Okay, well, today's segment, Chrissy, is going to be all about layering and textures, and still carrying on this transitional trend as we move further into autumn. So I'd like to start with you, Chrissy, and what I've styled you in. And I went for sort of a glam rocker look for you today. So I'm going to start with her footwear, which I've paired some Sam Edelman studded stilettos with these wax sort of look, Citizens of Humanity black leather look pants. Now I've put them with a black silk blouse by Pyrus that has just a little bit of this sequin detail as we just are entering the festival or holiday season. But I'm going to show how you can take this already elegant and chic look and make it look even more glamorous by adding a very transitional piece, the gilet. So I'm going to add this beautiful dipped dyed charcoal and black gilet, and take a look at how Chrissy's outfit has totally changed, even more glamorous. So let's just take a look. How does that feel, Chrissy?
I love this. It's one of my favorites.
It's great, isn't it? And it adds that little bit of warmth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
and that
does,
little
yeah.
extra
Yes.
layer. So I love the sequins with the fur. I love the leather. I love the studs. Don't be afraid to really mix those textiles. So with myself, I've put myself in just all black actually, but the textiles are, we got lace top. We've got these wonderful leather kind of jeggings by Helmut Lang and these Sam Edelman boots. And I will do the same by putting on this first lamb gilet, which is also going to just dress up this outfit and give it that sort of glam look. So if we can take a look at that.
So different textures, but they look really good.
It is. It's all about mixing the textures and just really not being afraid to layer. And I'll show you another example with Megan. So if we go to Megan, Megan is my day look for this week, and we have her in some office attire. And what I've put Megan in is this wonderful star silk blouse by Diane von Furstenberg. And the woman cuts a wonderful wrap dress. She also does a wonderful silk blouse. So we have this lovely blue blouse, which I've paired with these gold sign pants. I'd like to point out that if you're looking for a pant that has sort of a seamless look, you can go for this. It has this like elastic layer here. So we'll just take a look at that. There is no seam from a zipper. And then I've put them with these Vic Italian boots. And I just want to show how when Megan leaves the office, we've also paired that with a lovely watch by Gucci. And when she leaves the office for nighttime, we can pair it with, this is basically it's leather jacket season, right, Chrissy?
Yeah.
It's, you know, how
That's
leather
nice.
can sometimes be a bit, you know, too cold for winter, but it's just that nice time for leather. So this really changes the look of the outfit, but take a look at what happens if I pair this gilet with this leather jacket. Let's put this other layer on top. So Chrissy, what do you think about this look?
That actually looks really good.
That looks amazing, doesn't it? So
Wow.
we've got silk, we've got
Never
leather.
thought of doing something like that.
You can just keep on piling on
Yeah.
the layers, I guess. But anyhow.
Brilliant.
So lovely.
Okay.
Anyways, I just have a few pieces here on the rail. I was just going to point out that like something like this could go easily under the gilet. It's got like this wonderful print on it and colors. Don't be afraid to really experiment with those colors, patterns, and textiles.
Nice.
Something like this for evening, this lovely embroidery look by Parker would fit very nicely under that jacket. Okay, just it's that time where we're looking for outerwear jackets. We have this one here. It's just a classic black puffer jacket by Burberry Pursum, and you can just take off this lovely black bow and use that sort of with other outfits and such. So you might want to go for something like that. Just a few menswear pieces here. I've got a classic black leather jacket with this removable collar of fur, and also take a look at this lovely floral sort of shirt that you can pair with different trousers. So
Thank you
that's it
so
there.
much, Cynthia. Okay,
Oh,
so
you're
now
welcome.
we're at Megan's
Megan's
makeup corner. So what are you going to be talking about today, Megan?
I'm going to be talking about your beauty regime and how important that is and why.
Okay.
So I'm going to just provide an acronym, which is CTM. So you could guess what that
Cleanse, tone, moisturize.
There you go. You must have heard me talking, but absolutely. Cleanse, tone, moisturize. And so why a skin routine is important is because we want that youthful glow, and if we leave our makeup on, we can be damaging the skin, having a dull effect, having that aging effect, and we want to avoid that. We also want to avoid clogging our pores. And so prevention is much easier than trying to cover a spot or work once the damage is done, so to speak. So all those who sleep in their makeup, that is a big no-no. It is naughty, and I've told many a person that is, even if you at the very least have to use one of those makeup wipes, at least do that, because you're opening up your pores and you have a less chance of having those adverse effects.
Okay.
But if you have the time, and also you can save time if you have your makeup regime pinned down. So I'm going to help a little bit with what products to use, and also explain the process. So cleansing, that can get a bit complicated. Do you choose scrub? Do you use a creamy cleanser? You said that you use soap. Or
facial wash.
A
with
facial
flannel
wash.
to take my makeup off.
Right, so that is your first step. So we're going with the first step. So you use a liquid, it's a liquid. Sometimes there's a foam pump, but that's your first step. So your first step is obviously to wash that makeup off. After maybe if you have heavy eye makeup on, you'll use makeup remover, and then you'll wash. So you have to think about, when choosing a cleanser, some questions. So, is your skin tend to feel unclean all the time? You could be producing an excess amount of oil. Do you wash your face often because you feel a residue that's just layered on there? Or does it actually feel tight all the time and dry? And so then you can choose a cleanser, and I just have a few that appropriately suits your skin's needs. And of course, I always recommend to ask the person behind the counter about the products, because they'll ask you about what type of skin you have to guide you. So, there's cleansers that are for dry to very dry, and they usually don't have any perfumes in them or any of that. Hydrating, there's a key word, so if you do tend to have dry skin, or anti-aging. So there's that anti-aging, but this does have a cranberry. It says pomegranate cranberry, And so that might be irritable to someone who's prone to redness. So you want to avoid that. So it is about testing these products as well for what's for you. Second step, toning. So toners have a bad rep, and I have to say they have a bad rep to be drying. And maybe it's because you're not choosing the right one, because there are toners that are moisturizing. And there also are toners that for persons who produce excess oil, they may then need a stronger one. And so this is the second step, which is, I'm glad, is the clarifying lotion. So there's all sorts of words. So there's refreshers and, you know, toners and that sort of thing. This one I like. It's a refreshing toner that revives skin, but in the directions, it says should not replace a good night's sleep. Okay, so last one is your moisturizer. So you want to pick it. Sometimes there's moisture-based water based gels. There's a thicker one, so it has that oil shine, but you don't care because you're not going out, so you can actually revive your dry skin over the nighttime. And then there's also combination skin. So whatever it is, and a quick tip is that we were talking about this earlier, that if you put your moisturizer on, you can put a damp cloth or face cloth. You can then place it over your face and it retains the moisture.
It needs to be warm.
It is warm, yeah. Okay. Warm is the best. So, you know, you put that on. So you apply your moisturizer on a damp base, and then put your moisturizer on and then lock it in. So, you know.
You take the flannel off afterwards.
Flannel. See, that's the difference. Face cloth and flannel.
You don't keep it on your face the whole night, do you? Just lock it in?
just to lock it in and take your beauty sleep. And sleep is the best skin reviver. So
brilliant. Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you. And of course, the Gregoire sisters will be back with us again next week. But after the break, we'll have some more news, and I'll also be answering a question from a viewer, and we'll take a look at our latest creative success story on the power of music and lyrics.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. Now let's take a look at our creative success story based on 3 London rappers, with one originally from the US, and this is on the power of music and lyrics.
Hip-hop music began in the early 1970s in New York City as breakbeat DJing blew up. A lot of the earlier rap is authentic and still popular today, but a lot of artists in the later years have sadly glamorized the gangster lifestyle, gangs, guns and demoralizing women. Other artists don't need to continue this aggressive stereotype. Rap is a form of poetry where in fact artists can voice thoughts, feelings and concepts, a creative outlet. Political, emotional, even something fun and catchy to capture moods. The power of words and lyrics. Write and listen wisely.
So here with Skilf the rapper. So how long have you been rapping for?
About 7 years now.
Okay, what was it that made you and inspired you to first pick up that pen and start writing a rap?
It was all the old school garage MCs, people like Creed, Viper, MC Nee, and that was the first kind of music scene I got into, and it just really struck a chord with me and made me want to get into MCing.
Don't know how we can change it, but I gotta fly away in a spaceship. Feel like I've been lost for ages, in the swamp trying to find an oasis.
Okay, what would you say was the most important lesson that you've learned so far in your career?
Just to focus on the little steps rather than, trying to hit a home run from the word go. It's about kind of setting mini goals, planning, and also not relying too much on other people. Do as much as you can yourself, and just cut out the middleman if you can.
Mine in all sorts. I'm 6'1" and still come up short.
Okay, when did you first realise that you enjoyed rapping? When did you start writing lyrics?
19, so that's 5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, why did you like that?
I was watching MTV, as you do. And we just saw 50 Cent rapping and was like, give it a try. And we just tried to rap, and 5 years later we're here. Yeah.
Do you wanna go out here or maybe go out there? Show out yet. When I see her, my confidence leaves.
In music, people that influence me, obviously 50 Cent, I've said several times in interviews and stuff. Kanye West is a big influencer as well. he's just so confident, and when you listen to him, you feel confident as well. You can say my mum's a role model right now. Yeah.
Your mum?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And why is she a role model? What traits does she have as a person that kind of like makes you look up to her?
Very strong person. Yeah. Very, very strong person.
Hey, yo, this is your boy Cream, and you're tuned in to the Chrissy B Show. That's what I'm talking about.
So you do like comedy acting as well as rapping. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I was on a TV show called Boomtown, and basically Knickerbocker Glory TV got in contact with me and said, we're looking for crazy people like you to be on a mad reality show, and do you want to do it? So I said, yeah, I'm interested in doing it.
Okay, when did you first start rapping?
I was 14 years old when I had my first record deal.
And what were you writing about? Were you writing your own raps and then you got noticed, or how did that happen that you got a record deal?
Back in those days, I've been brought up in Brooklyn, New York, and we were writing a lot about the streets and things that we go through in life. I'd rather have 2,000 people out there putting their hands in the air and having fun with the record than everybody screw-facing at each other in the corner. You know what I mean? It's like we're putting the guns up in the air. I'm not really into that anymore.
What sort of lessons have you learned along the different phases of your career? Is there a very valuable lesson that you could round up as one that you'd like to share with the viewers?
Yeah, you gotta be grounded. You gotta keep your feet on the ground.
Have you got a role model out there, whether it's musically, someone that's influenced your music style, or just a person that's really inspired you and kind of kept you going throughout your career?
Yeah, my father. Cat Van Buren from the group Santana. So he's musical anyway. I look up to him. He's like my brother as well as my father. So I just take my guidance off of him because he's already been through it all, And that's basically it, really.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Cree.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Okay, so let's just answer this question from a viewer before we go back with some more news from Excel. And this one's from Lana, and she says, "Hi Chrissy, I've been married for 12 years and I've just found out that for most of my marriage, my husband has been cheating on me. Everything I know has been a lie. We have 3 children, but I can't see how we can get past this. I give up a lot for my husband and have supported him over the years, but now I think it's time to think about me. Our children are old enough for this not to affect them that much as they are adults living their own life. I just believe that I owe myself more respect than to stay with someone who did not respect me. What would you do, Chrissy?" So obviously from your email, Lana, if you've been married for 12 years, but you also have children that are old enough and they're living their own life, you've been together for a long time. Now this kind of decision is very, very personal, and I'm actually all for fighting for marriages, because when a couple stops investing, things can go wrong. But again, on the other side of things, if they start investing again, the marriage can be restored. Now, in terms of when one party cheats, again, I personally know couples where someone cheated and actually another couple where both cheated, but because they got the right help and the right sort of counselling, they're back together and they're really, really getting along well. So, with the right help and guidance, marriages can be and relationships can be restored. But yes, you're right, you do owe yourself some respect. But before making a final decision, I would sit down with your husband, have a proper talk and lay out all your cards on the table, because sometimes things aren't the way that they seem. And there's no excuse for cheating, obviously, but perhaps there are certain things that you could learn for yourself out of what happened. And if after that you still want to part ways, then make sure you get help for yourself to get yourself back on your feet, and don't look back, because you do deserve to be happy. Now, I hope that's helped, and if anyone has a question, if you'd like to know what I would do if I were in your situation, or what I would think I would do, because obviously some situations you don't know until you're actually there, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. But now we have some more news with Excel before we wrap up the show.
Yes, indeed. I have something quite interesting here. First of all, there is Britain's oldest police officer. Well, he's one of the volunteer ones now, support officer. He's actually still on the beat at the ripe old age of 70.
Oh, bless him.
I know.
Good for him.
He's a former Navy man, and his name is Lewis Martindale Vale, and he served with West Midlands Police for 7 years before joining in 2007 at the ripe old age of 63.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's an ex-boxer, and he said he wanted to put his skills to use that he learned in the ring and also in the armed forces.
Looking for a fight then?
Oh yeah, and he's been working for the last 47 years. I mean, we have a photo of him as well. He was, picture of him talking to people on the streets and just also kind of interacting with members of the public. I think I have we got it? Cue photo, please. Thank you. There you go. So he's there talking to. He's patrolled the Erdington area of Birmingham 5 times a week, and he says he has no plans to stop soon. He's super fit. He's a mountaineer and a canoeist.
No wonder he doesn't want to retire.
He
Keep
walks
going.
a staggering 25 miles a day
Oh, wow.
on the beat,
Yeah.
going around the town. Yeah. So he's clocked up about 63,800 miles since he started his policing career.
Wow.
Brilliant. It's been actually quite good. It's very, very great. And so we wish him all the best. He celebrated his 70th birthday recently. So
Happy birthday.
yeah, so now he's cutting his hours down to 3 days a week, but it's still pretty good. Still very, very good. Okay, so something else again that I thought was quite interesting. I have to say I laughed when I saw this. A young child decided to protest to her parents via letter, and it would kind of make sense in a minute. I'll tell you the story first. She's 9, her name is Lexi, and she wrote a letter accusing her parents of basically deceiving her all these years. And she fires a triple whammy because she revealed that she's fully aware of who Santa Claus is, of who the Tooth Fairy is, and who the Easter Bunny is. So if we cue the letter, it's hilarious. She did a good job. She says, "Dear Tooth Fairy," in quote, "I don't believe in the Tooth Fairy anymore. I know it's you who gets the money and puts it under my pillow, Mom and Dad. I'm sorry if this is hard for you, but I am 9 now. P.S. I don't believe in Santa Claus either, smiley face. Love, Lexi." And then she also said, "P.S. Daddy, I knew it was you last Easter hiding my Easter eggs."
Oh.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I nearly fell off a chair when I
bless.
saw this. I thought, clever little girl.
I remember finding out when Santa Claus wasn't real.
Oh, well, how did you feel?
Because I wrote to him.
Okay.
You can send these things and they send a letter back to you from the post office, and I asked for a
Right.
Barbie house. And then I think on a couple of days before Christmas, I found the Barbie house behind my parents' wardrobe.
Maybe he came early.
No. Then I was devastated. And that was the end of my Christmas.
Classic.
However, my mother, if she still lived over here, would still be filling our stocking. She still used to creep in even when we were in our 20s.
stop.
She wanted to keep the tradition going. She would still creep into our bedroom in the middle of the night and fill up stockings with gifts. And she didn't want to stop that, even though we were fully aware that there was no Santa Claus.
Exactly. Oh, stop. It's cute though. It's adorable.
Very cute.
It's
My mum's
very
amazing,
adorable.
I have to say.
Right, moving on to something here again I found absolutely
Do we have
hilarious. Do we?
Not sure.
Oh, yes, we do. I think we do.
No, we don't. We have to go, my darling.
Oh, no.
All right, thank you so much, Excel. Save it for next week.
All right, I will.
Alrighty. So we do have to wrap up the show, but just to leave you with this, don't forget that the show is all about being happy, and sometimes things happen in life that are really difficult to deal with, but always remember that every situation has a way out. Just find the right help and guidance, and if you need help with that, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. See you again next time. Bye-bye for now.